guys, welcome back to episode 3 of the result season of Q1 FY26. And in episode 3 of the good, decent, poison and shit, let us see which companies are doing what. Today we'll be analyzing those companies that came out with its result on 17th of July, that is yesterday, and we'll be talking about those companies. We have quite a lot of companies, so hopefully we can cover everything in one video. Anyways, we will start with the first company, which is 360 ONE. As you know, 360 mein there are two main subdivision. One is your wealth management division and the other is a brokerage division. Now you've seen, right, with the brokerage companies that are there, like you've seen with Angel One, you've seen with 5paisa Capital, because of this change in this regulatory norms by SEBI that is there, right? We saw this FNO volumes that is there, the orders that is there are fell massively. Now, although over here, if you look at 360 ONE, 65% is coming from this advisory and this distribution, and the other 35% is coming from brokerage. Because this 35% of the business now is adversely affected, like I told you, ये regulation के changes के वजह से, the entire sales growth that is there looks very tepid. Last year, अगर आप देखते हो, the same brokerage division gave it a huge push. Today, this time as we talk about it, the same brokerage division is dragging the entire sales growth down. Okay? So obviously, this goes into the likes of the likes of Angel One and 5paisa ka league, where because the cycle has turned over here, right? It no longer is as accretive or lucrative, आप बोल सकते हो, as it was last year. So right now, if you look at it, since a trend is turning, since the cycle is it's going in a downward cycle, I would section this as a poison stock right now, considering the pace of growth that is there for all of these companies that are involved in a brokerage division, right? The sales growth ka pace of growth that is there is coming down. Okay? The second company that we will be doing is known as ABM Knowledgeware. Okay? ये जो company है ABM Knowledgeware, it is a very small company, extremely small SME kind of company है ये. These people provide this e-governance solution for your government bodies. It could be municipal corporation, these BBMPs and other. All of these people, they try to provide them a kind of a software solution or maybe an ERP management solution that is there. Okay, and this company that is there is mainly stemming out of Maharashtra. अगर आप देखते हो इनका यहाँ पे सेल्स जो है सेल्स ग्रू बाय 16% एंड पैट दैट इज देयर ग्रू बाय 45%. यहाँ पे द प्रॉब्लम हियर विद द बिजनेसेस, इट इज अ B2G बिजनेस. ओके, मतलब क्या करते हैं, द एंटायर बिजनेस इज कमिंग फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट, सो देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ दिस रेवेन्यू फ्लक्चुएशंस, पेमेंट का ऑल दिस इश्यूज दैट आर देयर. दिस इज मोर ऑल्सो द अदर थिंग व्हाट यू कैनॉट टेल इज if this growth that is there is going to be sustainable or not, right? Because you do not know how, the problem with this small penny, I do not even know if I can call this as penny stock at the end of the day. The problem is you do not know how, the visibility of EPS growth, or I think you can't even see or predict what the, or I wouldn't use the word predict, but I think you can't even project what the EPS growth is going to look like. So I would consider this as, like that penny, that shit stock, that is how I would categorize this. Then you have Alok Industries. Alok Industries, again, what does this company do? This company, like, for to make all these clothes, right? You need fabrics, you need cotton, you need polyester, right? So these people make this fabric. So you take a cotton, you take all this raw material and convert it into a synthetic material like polyester, different types of synthetic fabric that is there. Alok Industry ka jo hai, if you look at it, the sales is down by a whooping 7%, and they are at a, it has gone to a loss-making company right now. It posted a loss of 172 crore. Okay, obviously यहाँ पे the reason is because if you look at the entire this textile industry that is there, if you're somebody who's making garment, since it is a value-added product, basically you take a fabric and you make it into a piece, like maybe some piece like this or a shirt or something. It is a value-added product, so your margins are higher. But if you're dealing with all this, कॉटन का ट्रेडिंग आप कर रहे हो, या वरना इस कॉटन को लेके यान में कर रहे हो या पॉलिस्टर कर रहे हो ना, you have a lot of this raw material का फ्लक्चुएशन. ठीक है, and again the same problem over here. Sales is down 7%. There is nothing good can come out of this. This is another that poison stock you can call it. Okay. Then we have C&E Limited, जो टायर बनाता है, as you know, right? They do different types of tire. They make tires for truck, they make tires for two-wheeler, they make tires for buses, etc. Now the majority is coming from the truck and bus, which is almost 30%. And यहाँ पर भी there are two categories when you talk about in a tire segment. Okay, one is the OEM category, which means what, all these big car companies that are there, right? When they're manufacturing a new car, they would need a tire. That is the OEM category, where you're selling it to this big car companies such as Maruti, all those companies that are there. Then you have the replacement market, okay, where let's say, a common replacement market would be, let's say your tire goes bust and you would want to replace it, right? That is a replacement market. Ceat caters more towards a replacement market over here, okay. And one thing about tire industry, I must tell you over here, if you look at the entire tire industry, there has been a lot of problems in the last 1 year. One is, as you know, right, the vehicle part, or the two-wheeler and the four-wheeler is really struggling to grow. You're not seeing a huge amount of growth, right, in any kind of automotive industry, right? Obviously, अगर आपका automotive industries नहीं grow कर रहा है, who is a B2B business, who is a auto ancillary business, whose clients are also, the auto space, how will you grow at the end of the day? You see, if you are producing more cars, if you are producing, two-wheeler का sale is skyrocketing, four-wheelers, trucks and tractors का sale is skyrocketing, तो ऑब्वियसली यू आर अ क्लाइंट टू दीज कंपनीज, आपका भी सेल भी अच्छा बढ़ेगा, बट वहाँ पर उनका ही सेल रोक के पड़ा है, तो आपका हाउ कैन इट गो? सो दिस इज वन प्रॉब्लम. The other problem is, even if you talk about the replacement market also, you see that the entire demand in the country is very tepid right now. Like urban demand that is there, it is very very faded, unlike the rural demand. Rural demand at least is a bit better than that of urban demand, ठीक है? This is a problem. Domestic market में problem है, export market में भी problem है. Why? Because in the export, we have all this Trump का issues, tariff का issues, there is a lot of uncertainty, geopolitical situations हो रहा है यहाँ पे, and यहाँ पे उनका भी 20% of contribution is coming from export. So everywhere you see, right, there is problem on problem, ठीक है? तो यही है. And on top of that, last year जो था, they had a lot of raw material fluctuation. The price of rubber, was shooting up and down. As you know, tire का one of the main raw material is rubber. So a lot of problem over here, and you can also see the sales is a testament of that. Sales is up 10% year on year, but PAT जो है is down by 30%, ठीक है? So you understand that यहाँ पे margins का कोई, there is no place for margins to grow. Why? Because your entire margin depends on raw material price का fluctuation. And the other thing, when you talk about tire industry, now it is a pure volume game, okay? You do not get to play value at all. Why you don't get to play value here? Because आपका, like I told you, like you see, one is your entire value is dependent on raw material का price, and you cannot predict how the raw material price can go up and down, and entire management of inventory over here is tough. The second thing here is you can't pass on the price to the consumer, right? Okay, there are two types of consumer. One is your B2B business, which is, you have all these car companies, bike companies and everything, but you work with them in a contract, right? Your contract will be stipulated for maybe a period of 2 to 3 months, where you agree that, this is going to be the price irrespective of raw material का fluctuation, ठीक है? So over here, obviously, ये price का revision करना, it's not easy, to pass on the price to your consumer, which is mostly your what do you call, your clients that is there, your B2B clients that I said. When you talk about B2C also, it is not easy, because यहाँ पे किसी के पास pricing power नहीं है. They have this association among the tire companies where, you cannot, like, if one person takes a price hike, then everybody else around takes a price hike, okay? So there is no advantage. Also, the other factor is there is no USP, right? Think about you as a consumer. If you ever bought a car, you are more concerned about, what the engine of the car would be like. You are more concerned about, the seat, the interior. But I don't think anyone in their right mind probably has gone to a dealership and told के like मुझे Ceat का, like ये tire चाहिए, this variation, that, like, no. I think the more you care about is the alloys in that tire, than the tire itself, right? So this goes to show you कि like this entire tire industry में, कोई भी company का, there is no USP, there is no pricing power. It is much more, you can tell it is a very commoditized product, and on top of that, this immense risk of this raw material price ka fluctuation puts it in a huge, I would say in a very unlucky spot probably, right? And another thing over here, these people also mentioned, like, in the previous con call they had mentioned that the volume growth that is there in the tire, you can expect a volume growth of 6 to 7% up till 2047 for the tire industry. So tire industry ka jo volume growth is supposed to grow by 6 to 7%. So the worst case, like, sorry, not the worst, the best case scenario, let's say you grow 3 times that of volume, like from the average industry rate, that's like still 18% kind of growth. And I don't think it's possible, to grow at that rate until and unless, you have this automotive industry coming really back up, we have a upcycle over there. So again, this is another, I would say, another, like poison stock in a way. Okay. Then we have the another company called as Heritage Food. I don't know if you guys can observe, I'm going like letter wise, by the way. So yeah. Oh, so Heritage Food, this is a dairy company, just like how you have Dodla Dairy, Parag Foods and everything, right? These people sell milk, and the value added product over here is your curd, ghee, sweets, ice cream. Okay, so यहाँ पे if you look at this company, they had guided for I don't remember the exact number, but I think they had guided for 6,000 crore or something in a span of next 2 years, probably like an internal target or something of that sort. I don't quite remember this number, but mota moti it was like a 50% CAGR for 2 years. So per year, if you take, it was probably like a 25% kind of CAGR. That was the guidance given. अगर आप इस बार का numbers देखते हो ना, sales only grew by 10%, and if you see, look at the PAT is down by a whooping 31%. अगर आप EBITDA margins भी देखते हो ना, EBITDA margin in Q1 of last year was 9%. This time it is 6.5%. So margins is also down. So why did this happen is because this time in this year, in the month of April and May, we've had a lot of unseasonal rains. Okay, and this unseasonal rains के वजह से क्या होता है, you know, because the temperature drops and everything, people stop consuming आपका curd, dahi, ice cream, which are value added products जिसमें margins is way, you know, much better compared to, let's say, by selling just milk, right? So इसके वजह से जो है sales got impacted, margins got impacted, and you know the guidance that is there, you know, they missed that guidance a little bit, you know. But again, this is a very seasonal kind of issue, because abhi, you know, June May apparently the sales have recovered. April and May was terrible. I mean, I see, these are how you really pick up clues from one sector to another sector. Like Heritage Food ने जो बोला है कि, like, you know, they've had unseasonal rains, you know, throughout April and May. Now think about it, connected to the AC industry that is there. AC industry का months कौन सा अच्छा है? April and May. April and May are bombastic, you know, kind of months, you know, for the entire AC company. So अगर आपका best months in a year में रेन हो रहा है, ठीक है, एंड यू नो रेन होगा तो ऑब्वियसली एसी का सेल कम होगा, क्योंकि जितना ज़्यादा गर्मी है उतना ज़्यादा एसी का, यू नो, एसी बिकेगा आपका. सो थिंक अबाउट इट, वन इंडस्ट्री से आपको दूध का इंडस्ट्री जो है, यू रीड अबाउट ए डेयरी इंडस्ट्री एंड यू गेट, you know, insights to that, you know, what is that, AC industry. This is how you connect the dots, right? This is how you know that going forward, you know, यहाँ पे problem है, then you know यहाँ पर भी problem हो सकता है. This is how you connect the dots. So again, if you are having any of those AC manufacturing stock which did, you know, phenomenally well in the last year, which was EPAC, Amber, PGL, Virtusoft Electronics, be a bit cautious and make sure you're taking the right decision, or you know, with that company. Anyways, then we have Indian hotels, right? Indian hotels, if you look at it, if you look at the company, they, you know, mostly, like almost 60-65% of the business that is there comes by managing rooms, right? जहाँ पे you go, you stay, you know, during a vacation and all, you know, that is their main, you know, like main source of revenue, or the main chunk of revenue, right? That is one, which obviously they manage different Taj hotels, Taj Vivanta, you know, Taj Gateway and all of it. So this is one part of the revenue. The second part of the revenue comes by, you know, the catering business that they have for air travel. Okay, so when you probably travel in Air India, the meal services that you get is provided by this same company that is there. These two are the most important source of revenue, because they literally contribute to, you know, the majority, 70% and, you know, 15% respectively. Okay, now यहाँ पे if you look at the overall sales that is there, overall sales is very good. Overall sales grew by 31%. Okay, I'm actually really surprised, because if you consider the entire hotel industry, you've got Benares Hotel, which is growing at 16-17%. Then you've got ITC Hotel, which is growing at that same rate. Then you've got Oriental Hotels, which is growing at 32%. But Oriental Hotels ka base is very small, right? Like I think 3,000 crore ka market cap hai. Versus Indian Hotels is like a BAP of all the hotels, right? Like it's the market cap is like, you know, I think 70,000 odd crore, somewhere in that range. And being like, you know, in such a big base, you're able to grow 31% is really good, man. Like I mean obviously यहाँ पे PE rating होना and everything is मुश्किल, just because of the sheer size of the company. I understand that, but really I mean, just from a business point of view, you know, the kind of growth that is there, it is great. And they also mentioned कि like, you know, कि like ये जो sales है, it could have been, you know, much better than this 31% that they posted, because as you know, in the month of April or May, right, we've had this war situation, right, where I think a lot of y'all remember, right, that Pakistan India ka war chal raha tha, and due to this in many locations, that 4-5 days, almost a period of 1 week, there was a lot of uncertainty and people had cancelled all their bookings, right? So if probably not for that 1 week, jo hua tha, the sales would have probably been way better than what it already is. Unka capex plan bhi agar aap dekhte ho na, capex plan is really good because they have right now 20,000 rooms and they plan to add around 3,000 to 3,500 keys in the upcoming year, and that roughly translates to like 70% kind of volume growth you can expect over here. And think about it, right, agar a company like this can it has a little bit of pricing power compared to the other subpar hotels that are there. So I think they can continue to grow at 20 if this expansion goes on track and everything, then 25% kind of growth I think is probably doable over here in spite of this high base that is there. So overall a good set of numbers, I would say. Obviously I would say decent, only because of the base. It's great, it's good, but yeah, only little bit जो मुझे खटकता है is because the base is so big, right? Like it's like एक हाथी है, right? And एक हाथी को like it takes a long time to reach a destination compared to let's say a rabbit, I don't know, like a small animal, right? So that is the thing. So other than that, extremely good set of numbers over here. To be very honest, nothing to complain. Like literally all of their divisions that is there has done really well, whether it is a hotel segment, whether it is the air catering segment, whether it is the management segment, where they collect the management fees, everything is has been really great. Not only that, uska jo that the rev par that we call, even that grew by 13%. I think ITC hotels ka rev par was 30% something and this is 13%, but overall all in all really good set of numbers. Then we have Lakshmi Machine Works. Trust me guys, I'm so glad that I'm doing this series, because in a way, like I'm getting to know about so many companies that I would have just probably ignored over here, and like at least now I know, like if somebody talks about a company, like I know why I can like answer, like it is a poison stock that is there. Okay, so yahan pe there is this company called as Lakshmi Machine Works. Now remember we spoke about Alok Industry in the beginning of the videos, right? Alok Industries kya banate? Ye fabric, the fabric that is needed to make these kind of clothes, they make that fabric. Okay, what does Lakshmi Machine Work do is, now all this Alok Industries, maybe Kitex, maybe Bella Casa, they would need these machines now to make clothes, maybe to make a yarn, to make a fabric and everything, right? These huge machines that are used for manufacturing of your clothes in the textile industry, these people make that machine. Okay, that is all that they do. And yahan pe kya hua hai problem? Like see, which is the biggest textile market that you have in the world? One is Bangladesh and the other one is Turkey. Yahan pe dono like how do I put this, दोनों countries में बहुत सारे problems चल रहा है, right? And so export is probably it's really terrible for them. Domestic में भी उनका हालत the clients that are there is not doing that great. So because of the demand condition not being that great, इनका sales are like are just are just terrible. Sales is up hardly 3% and PAT is flat, because the entire demand that is there is not susceptible for them in order to work So that is the thing. Again, this is another, I would say, poison stock that is there. Then you have these IT stocks such as LTIM, and you have Wipro, which is probably like the like again, like just like any other IT stocks that is there, no growth, good for nothing right now, 5%. Wipro is probably the worst because the sales has been flat and they're guiding for a negative growth. They're telling will probably grow by -1 or like 3%. Like that's like indirectly telling you कि like भाई next year हमारा sales degrowth होने वाला है. I mean that's crazy. Can you imagine somebody guiding you and telling you कि like मेरा sales degrowth हो रहा है? Now if you consider after this also, if you consider to buy Wipro, LTIM or any IT stocks for that matter, right, thinking that अरे ये Wipro है, इसका brand है and everything, then God alone can help you, because in the market it doesn't matter if you have a moat, it doesn't matter अगर आपका high entry of barrier है for any of these companies. Ultimately you will have to show sales growth, right? And that is something that we have explained in the investment checklist workshop, how sales growth, how you can connect how sales growth में problem आता है, then receivables, inventory, payables, हर जगह में problem आता है, right? Sales growth is the most important thing, right? So I would say imperative out of all, right? And यहाँ पे that is the thing, right? Like Wipro, again the same thing, both LTIM and Wipro, another set of like I would say poison stocks that is there. Okay, after that we have is we have is Polycab. I think in the entire result section yesterday, that is of 17th of July, only two companies really performed, I would say, well or good, you can tell. That is Polycab and ITC, not ITC, sorry, Indian Hotels. Because if you talk about both Indian Hotels also, I think the market cap is like what, 65-70,000 crore. You have Polycab जिसका 1 लाख करोड़ का market cap है. And it's unbelievable that both of these companies at such a big market cap are able to grow at this rate, because Indian Hotels grew, like I told you, right, 31%. अगर आप Polycab का बात करते हो, Polycab grew by 26%. Now, one, like I told you, very impressive thing is because of its base. इतना बड़ा base में आपने 26% grow किया, that is really stunning. The second thing over here is, if you remember last time Polycab ने क्या बोला था, we will grow 2 to 2.5x industry का, whatever the wire and cable industry is there, we will grow 2 to 2.5x more than that. That roughly came up to be, somewhere between 16 to 18% का CAGR. So you guided for like a 16 to 18%, but did 26%. That too on top of this big base. Okay. And another thing to note down over here, last year का जो Q1 था, we had all these elections, right? जिसके वजह से a lot of these orders, lot of this, there was a lot of problem in terms of demand, because every work was getting delayed, right? Especially this, all this project work that is there. But it's not like, like base उतना भी कम था, because I understand that was the case with Senco, because Senco का Q1 of FY25 sales grew hardly 8%. But Polycab का अगर आप देखते हो, Q1 के FY25 sales grew 19%. It's not like वो भी, वहाँ पे गिर के पड़ा था, sales growth or something. So on top of that base also, you're able to grow 26%, and at this pace you're able to increase guidance. Really, like, आपको, you have to salute that company, ठीक है? And even if you look at the PAT grew by 50%. The reason PAT grew was because, one, if you talk about, they have two divisions. One is wire and cable division. Wire and cable division में they had a very stunning set of numbers. The wire and cable division grew 32%. Okay, I don't remember when was the last time they probably grew like this fast in wire and cable space. उनका जो international business था, right, which was, subdued for a very long time due to all these geopolitical situations, this war and that war, that has also, come back up very strongly, because अभी जो, if you look at that, the क्या बोलते हैं, the international business that is there, that grew 24% on a year-on-year basis, and domestic within India ka business जो है, that grew 32%. Wire and cable division did well, and with wire and cable division, last time there was a lot of raw material का fluctuation. Copper का price ऊपर नीचे चल रहा था, which was not there this time, and they were able to pass on the price also. So because of that, that immense operating leverage that they witnessed. Okay, one is raw material का price का fluctuation नहीं था, and international sales came up, because international sales में आपका margins is way higher compared to that of domestic sales. The second huge thing is unka FMEG division, that is fast moving electrical goods. Now, as you know, this was one division that was dragging their bottom line down, right? A loss making tha earlier. Now you see that the margins also has improved. Last time, if you see, EBITDA margin was negative 1.5%. Now the EBITDA margin over here is like, I think, 2.6% in that range. It has turned profitable. FMEG division is growing really well. This is the second quarter where it has posted such good numbers. So since all the divisions over here with Polycab is firing up, right, that is why you're seeing this kind of growth. So I would say very good. Now, yes, I understand over here ki, like, see, if you look at in terms of valuation perspective, they, last year they clocked a profitability, I think somewhere up to like 2,000 crore of profitability it was. Now, if they grow the PAT, maybe let's say at 50%, or worst case scenario, maybe 50%, matlab 3,000 crore they'll be ending this year, or let's say worst case scenario, they'll end this year with a PAT of 2,500 crore, okay, then that comes up to like 35 to 45 PE for a 30% ka growth engine. If they do continue at that 50% kind of profitability, it is a 35 ka PE, 30% ka growth engine at 35 PE. Yes, it is not as lucrative of a deal as it was probably 2 years ago, right? Because 2 years ago, I think it was still a 20,000, 25,000 crore ka market cap. I'm talking about that Project Leap ka phase that time. And now it is obviously like 1 lakh crore ka market cap, right? Like the base is bigger. It is easier to go from a 20,000 crore market cap company to a 40,000 crore ka market cap company. It becomes way more difficult to go from 1 lakh crore to 2 lakh crore ka market cap ka company, right? So I do understand it is not as lucrative as it was before, but still, Very, very stunning set of numbers. I a lot of respect for Polycab. I mean, at this base you're able to do. Now it will be very interesting to see the other wire and cable companies, right? Because you've got Delton and Dynamic Cables in the smaller section in the wire and cable space, which have a high growth rate. Need to see what KI and Havells also will pull up their sleeves, right? So I would say, Indian Hotel and Polycab is probably the good result out of 17th of July. Other than that, you have this Shoppers Stop जिसका सिर्फ 8% से सेल ग्रोथ हुआ है. Really terrible set of numbers. It is another poison stock. Then you have this company called as Nuvoco Vista Corporation, जो एक सीमेंट बनाने वाला कंपनी है. ठीक है, यहाँ पे अगर आप देखते हो सेल्स ग्रू बाय लाइक इन अ सिंगल डिजिट 8 to 10% से सेल्स ग्रोथ हुआ. वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ दैट इज ग्रू बाय 6% ओवर हियर. इन्होंने रिसेंटली एक एक्विजिशन किया. दे डिड एन एक्विजिशन ऑफ दिस वद्राज सीमेंट, जिसके वजह से कैपेसिटी विल इंक्रीज फ्रॉम द अपकमिंग ईयर. ओके, बट अगेन नथिंग मच इज इंटरेस्टिंग अबाउट हियर. इट्स नॉट लाइक they will be growing at like 20-25% or so. Again, a very lull kind of business, you can tell. And the problem with cement companies, it is a very localized business, unlike the other companies that are there, right? Which makes it impossible or very difficult, I would say, in order for you to expand your market, grow your distribution. It becomes very, very hard, just because of the nature of the business that is there. So yeah, that's that, guys, of 17th of July. I would say the best out of the lot. The good results out of 17th of July is Polycab and Indian Hotels. Really good set of numbers. Looking forward to the con call of both the companies, to get more information. I would say majority other than that are like poison companies. Whether it is this company called as the first company that we did, ABM Knowledgeware, Alok Industries, Ceat Limited, that is there. You have Lakshmi Machine Wheels, LTIM, Wipro, Sun Gold, Shoppers Stop, and all of these companies that are there, Nuvoco or poison stocks. Then you've got some shit stock, basically these penny stocks that are there, such as Mishka बोल के company है जो ये gold का जो है wholesale trading करता है, all of these things. So a lot of shit stocks, but I think these two are the only company in the 17th of July that are worth spending your time on. I would say if you do get time this weekend, make sure you go catch up with the con call of Polycab and Indian Hotels, and also make sure you're tracking the other wire and cable companies as the result comes, so to understand if Polycab is really winning the race or not. Because if there are other companies like Dynamic, Delton, or let's say even KI, everybody else for that matter, who are doing way better than Polycab, then obviously, right, Polycab को इस रेस में जीतना मुश्किल हो जाएगा. So that's it for 17th of July. 18th and 19th of July, there are actually way less companies. That is today, on Friday, and Saturday tomorrow. The number of companies that are posting the result is way less. It's mostly financials, like सारा बैंक का ही numbers है mostly. Not much happening on 18th and 19th of July. The real test of time is probably the next 2 weeks, because I think this week is a bit easier. It was hardly like 20-25 companies in a day, and I can get through these companies with breeze. 25 companies in a day I can track easily. I can finish tracking in like 2 hours, maximum an hour and a half. Yeah, like I told you, मेरा तो वाट लगने वाला है probably from the next week and the week after that, because I think there are like 100 companies that's going to get out with its result. Like everybody starts posting it at that time. So that's that. I will continue the series. Apparently all of you guys like it really very much, and I'm glad that you guys like it. So yeah, and also guys, do like, share, subscribe, and hype my videos up. Apparently I'm supposed to say this. I didn't know that I was supposed to say this, because I thought you're watching my video, you would anyways end up subscribing. One of my Twitters, in Twitter, one of you guys messaged me. His name was Vikas. Thank you for reminding me that, because apparently if I don't remind you guys to do it, then you forget to subscribe. I don't know that, but anyways, yeah, cheers guys, thank you so much, and see you tomorrow. Probably I'll do 18th and 19th of July in one video, because there are only a few companies. Okay, so that's that. See you guys. And wait, I actually had to tell you something. There are few companies such as Integral Engineering, then Route Mobiles, however you pronounce it, and SW Solar. Okay, these are the 3 companies that I have to read, जिसका especially SW Solar and that Integral Engineering, जिसका numbers थोड़ा अच्छा है, but the problem is I've never tracked this industry before, especially solar companies. I think anybody who's watched my video for the last 1 year knows that I am just not a fan of renewable energy or a solar energy or transformers. But I do want to put an effort this time and at least try once again to see if I actually understand or do something. So probably over the weekend I will try to read that companies, and if I do understand it, I'll make a video on that, right? So that's it, guys, and have a nice day. Bye.